donation, and it shouldn't. I think we could have a reasonable discussion on the type of firearm it takes to adequately defend your life and home and enjoy the outdoors with, and other types of far more heavy firepower. I think it's not unreasonable to have that conversation.
Mr. Lemoncelli.
And again, while we discuss rhetorical questions, I'd rather hire electricians and start putting those detectors in the schools. Something that we can do, each of you can do, again, get that theme of involvement, is take a course called Stop the Bleed. There's a course that I took that was put on by the ambulance department, and the Lions Club also put that same program on. And it teaches you how to stop life-threatening bleeding. And you know what? I've been around here for a few decades. I never touched a tourniquet in my life till that day. But now I know how to use one. And they find that in a shooting situation, that's what most people die from. They bleed to death. Because nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody's scared, of course. But it would be nice if somebody could say, hey, listen, stuff that thing with a rag and put pressure here and give us another 5 minutes until the ambulance gets here. The other thing is, chances are, I hope to God we're never in a shooting situation, but you know, it might be a car crash. And the person you saved might be your loved ones. So Stop the Bleed. Look for it in the paper, look for it anywhere, but take that course.
The next question, Mr. Lemoncelli. According to Article 2, Section 8 of the Pennsylvania Constitution, the members of the General Assembly shall receive such salary and mileage for regular and special sessions as shall be fixed by law and no other compensation. We hear candidates often talk about the pension crisis. Would you refuse a pension and or health care benefits if elected?
You know, that's quite a question. I was reading happily through the Constitution, and I came upon Article 2, Section 8, which says exactly that. And it says, no other compensation whatsoever, whether for services upon committees or otherwise. And I thought, well, how does Bob Mello get $250,000 a year in retirement? It seems to be unconstitutional. Now, I haven't gone through all the laws, and maybe you know from being in Harrisburg, what they did to allow these health care benefits and what they did to allow the pensions that are 10 times what a guy in Scranton can earn per year. I don't think I could be so hypocritical as to say, give me a wonderful retirement fund and give me these wonderful benefits when the Constitution says, get them. And we ask all of our teachers and everybody else to sacrifice. I think it's pretty hypocritical to go in that direction. And so, yes, I would commit to not having a retirement fund by the state. I don't need the health care benefits, and I would challenge my opponent to commit to the same.
I appreciate that challenge, and there's certainly room for belt-tightening among the state legislature, like stopping the state vehicle lease program, like stopping per diems without per diems, payments that are paid to lawmakers without any receipts to be backed up. But as it relates to retirement security, we are approaching a retirement security crisis in America. I, as a state employee, as a member of the state pension system, have paid in faithfully to the pension system since my public employment began. I don't I've never taken my role or fortune of public service in that role, that dream job of my life lightly. It's something I will never abuse, and but as it relates to that, people deserve and want a straight answer, and I'm going to continue if I win to pay into my retirement plan, just as if you would if you had the opportunity to pay into the retirement plan at your job.
Mr. Lemoncelli.
One of the best retirement plans you could have is a Roth IRA, because you can put your own money in it, and 401k is the same. You own the money that's in there. You don't have to wait, it's yours. It goes with you where you go. And the benefit of a Roth is that you can give it to your kids when you die. It's inheritable. My opponent brings up car leases, and it's kind of interesting because I did research on that too. There are 42 vehicles that state legislators legislators use right now at a cost of $304,000. That comes out to $7,200 and change. That comes out to $7,200 and change, which is $603 a month. That's a damn high number for a lease. But this article says October 1st that the House voted 140 to 44 to eliminate that benefit from the legislature. And it goes on to say that the House Republicans are the only one of 4 caucuses that previously did away with the leases among their members. So, there you go.
Mr. Mullins.
Sounds like we have some work to do in the Democratic caucus in Harrisburg. That's something I would support that legislation. I'm fine driving my own family car that I'll be paying off for a few years, and I'm not sure that car seat would fit appropriately in the back of a state vehicle.
Mr. Mullins, what are your thoughts on Pennsylvania's recent legalization and ongoing implementation of medical marijuana? Furthermore, what is your position on the possibility of decriminalizing marijuana for recreational use? And do you think this could be an effective tool in combating the opioid crisis?
Sure. I think it was a unique experience as a staff member observing this debate and the evolution of opinions from the most conservative, most socially conservative to the most liberal of lawmakers come together after they were visited by mothers and fathers with children with epilepsy and other disorders who could only find relief from the compassionate use of medical marijuana. So it was interesting watching. You don't think minds can be changed too much in Harrisburg from the position or from the political side you come from, but it was reassuring actually to watch that it could still happen when someone came in an absolute crisis state, and the legislature acted. So one for the good guys there. They worked hard in the name of people who needed it. So I'm fully in support of it. I believe that we should continue to roll out the program, and it will continue to serve as a viable alternative to opioids, which are ripping so many families and communities apart. As it relates to the decriminalization or the complete legalization of marijuana, it's certainly a conversation I believe that will play out over the coming years in Harrisburg. I can't commit without understanding fully how other states have fared, and I don't know that the story is not being written because we don't have too many states that have all out legalized it. So I think it's still a story to be told, but for now, I am comfortable with with medical marijuana.
Mr. Lemoncelli.
When Shane Scanlon was the DA, he went to a lot of the high schools and he asked the question, how many of you have used pot? No hands went up. He changed the question at the next school and said, how many of you people know somebody that uses pot? Every hand went up. It's out there. If you want marijuana, go to a high school. As far as medical marijuana, absolutely. I think it's a shame to have anything that can help and not allow our researchers to purchase it to do their studies. And it does help people with Parkinson's and other diseases of that nature. So yeah, I think that's definitely something we should do. As far as decriminalization, you have to realize that our prison systems are one of the fastest growing parts of our budget. It increases significantly. And to decriminalize pot and marijuana would be okay, I think, because really what you're doing is you have a high school kid that gets caught after the prom smoking a joint and you ruin his life. That follows him forever. I don't think we should do that to the kid. I think decriminalization is an acceptable idea. Canada, by the way, the whole country is going to eliminate all of the criminalization. It's going to be wide open in Canada. And so we'll have a neighbor to the north that's I imagine there's going to be a lot of bus trips to Canada.
Mr. Mullins, rebuttal? Okay. Next question. Mr. Lemoncelli. The word jobs has become a major political buzzword, and we can all agree that jobs are very important to the financial and social well-being of our area. However, should the focus be to create jobs at all costs, or does the type of job or facility matter, especially when developers also use the word jobs to seemingly suit their own needs?
Yeah, well, you know what? We have here no jobs. So any job is good, almost. For decades, people have left this area to go find an opportunity, and we have to give our kids a superior education so they can take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. There are jobs that the child that's just starting high school, those jobs aren't even invented yet that he's going to have. We have to have good education, or we're going to have a workforce that can't do anything. We need public and private partnerships to help train for these things. And again, we don't wait for the deer to come on our porch. We have to go get it. We have to go get these jobs. Do you realize that we have an Office of International Business Development in this state that you pay taxes to support? They have, we have 6,300 foreign-owned companies here providing 334,000 jobs. The FDI, which is Foreign Direct Investment, identifies life sciences industry, plastics, electronics, and food and beverage as prime industries to bring here from other countries. I'd like to bring some of those food processors from California. But we are located within a number of hours of all the major population areas in the U.S. East Coast. We have a perfect place to make your product and deliver it the next day or the same day. We have 15 trade offices that cover 52 countries. We have 11 offices of investments covering 32 countries. Do you know about that? You ever hear of that? It doesn't happen around here. Did you know that this same organization, the International Business Development Group, for 3 years in a row now, has gone to China and Korea, and you know who participated? The city of Philadelphia, Lehigh Valley, and Chester County. We didn't. Why? Because our guys here are sleeping. They had a thing here in the state, bring the world to Pennsylvania. This was to bring authorized trade representatives here to develop some contacts within our state. Did you see any of these guys coming around here? I didn't. They also went to Europe to build rapport and relationships in 2015. They went to Japan in 2016, and they went to Germany as well in 2016. And none of that came here. Sorry. We have to go look for the jobs. It's time to send somebody to Harrisburg that's not going to sit there and wait for the deer to come on the porch.
Mr. Mullins.
I mentioned earlier that this is very much we need to take a global statewide approach toward it. I've been talking through the primary campaign, through our general campaign about jobs, and oftentimes politicians don't know what the next line should be. But here's what it is. Here's what it comes down to. We need to make sure that the state is open for business. I mentioned earlier welcoming businesses here by lowering our very high corporate net income tax rate, which would certainly encourage more investors to come here on a statewide basis. We need to start very young in grade school, making sure that we are putting kids on a career-focused education track, whether it be toward a four-year degree, whether it be in the arts, culinary line, the trades, or in the service. We need to be doing a better job from the guidance counselor's office all the way up, and we need to be providing those more resources and materials as it relates to job training opportunities from Harrisburg toward trade and technical and vocational opportunities. There are good family-sustaining jobs locally. They just need a prepared workforce coming out of high school or coming out of college to fill those. So we need to be providing the workforce. We need to be sending a prepared workforce out into the world.
Mr. Lemoncelli?
One of the things we can bring here is technical support. Technical support is when you call and your printer doesn't work and they tell you to plug it in. That's retail. There's also technical support for the person that's at CMC fixing the CAT scan machine, and he has a board there and he's getting readings and he doesn't know if they're right or not. And he calls somebody and says, hey, I got this board, tell me if it's right. You know who does that now? Where the most technical support is? Ireland. Why? Because they speak English and they have a very good work ethic. Guess what? So do we. And we're not 6 hours ahead of time. So I think we need to stop waiting for the jobs to come here, and I think you need to vote for me so I can go out and get some jobs for us.
Mr. Mullins, what are your thoughts on how communities can best protect residents from future negative development in consideration of the existing disamenities that already may overburden our communities, such as traffic, noise, mining remnants, large local landfills, and the massive natural gas power plant under construction in the district?
Sure. You need to take a regional approach to these things, because these opportunities, these problems, these challenges don't stop at a town's border. They don't stop at the gate of a power plant. They don't stop at a legislative district. We need to be working with our, by changing, first of all, changing and updating the way that we do regional planning. That's critical. We need to take a regional approach toward stormwater management. When we see these summer of rainfalls has really tested and illustrated our weaknesses. That is an infrastructure concern and crisis that relates to regional planning. We need to be engaged with our local chamber of commerce, and that can be a solution, of course, across the state toward local development. But making sure that we are, while incenting development, that we are making sure our infrastructure, our roads, our sewers can handle that kind of development. It can't just be surface level. We've got to look at the whole picture. Mr.
Lemoncelli.
There's a lot to be fixed here. One of the things I'm really thankful for is that the citizens of Healthy Jessup did baseline testing prior to that plant being open. Because you know what happens if you don't? You don't have a leg to stand on if you want to enforce any kind of environmental standard. We definitely have to have a regional outlook on this, and at this point I think we have to look at DEP and make DEP more of a compliance manager rather than an approvals manager. They can still do the approvals, but they need to be at the Keystone landfill. They need to be at the Jessup power plant. They need to be in a number of places checking to see what the air quality is, what the water quality is, and reporting that on a regular basis. It should not fall to a group to organize and sell sandwiches to raise the money to do the testing, but it has, and thank you for doing that. We definitely have to have growth. We will have it anyway. We have to be smart about it. We have to have an overall plan of what do we want to have for our roads and systems. I don't know who's running the design department at PennDOT, but I'll tell you what, I've been to a couple of countries and a number of states that have traffic circles. I've never seen one that put 4 in a row. I refer to going to the airport as going through the circles of death. And you know what? They're planning 24 more circles in Pennsylvania. Do we really need at these things. Did they ask any of us? I don't like them. So we need citizen involvement. Call these guys. Get after your representatives and your state senators and call the governor's office and start hollering about some of this stuff. Because you know what? Nothing gets done unless somebody pushes it. Okay? And you guys are the ones that have to help.
Rebuttal. Next question, Mr. Lemoncelli. At two separate Jessup Borough meetings in September and October of this year, it was revealed to the public that Invenergy has signed an option to purchase another large piece of land at Jessup. Although Invenergy stated it has no plans to develop the land at this time, will you be willing to go on the record tonight in opposition to a second power plant in Jessup? Further, if your answer is that you would oppose such development, would you commit tonight to publicly standing with residents in opposition of such a project should it come to fruition?
Well, we don't have any proof that they're going to do that, but chances are they are. They have a very abrasive attorney that I really don't like. And I'd hate to have to deal with him again. But yeah, I don't see how they can expect to put another power plant here. Because you know, he actually was telling the people in Archibald, you can't have another power plant here, there's no requirement for it. And they're gonna come up with another one. We're turning into the service alley for New York and New Jersey. We pump out the electricity, we take the garbage, and what do we get? Nothing. We get worse. We're not treated right. We deserve better. Yeah, I'll stand up with the citizens for sure. That's not a problem. I stood with them from the beginning against that plant because it's not located in the right place. We brought to the powers that be studies that said this reduces property tax, property value. And we were told, it doesn't apply here. That's studies from California. It doesn't apply here. Why not? Because you guys want it? It's in a KOZ zone. Again, no tax. The Delaware Corporation, no tax. We need a best practices handbook for at least here we have some idea what's going on, but I saw in Jessup that the next round of approvals came up. Nobody knew it was coming until it was almost over. And then you're fighting that one. In the meantime, these guys are preparing the next barrage. We had one hit after the other, and we're fairly ineffective, other than maybe some delay, but it happened. And you know what? We need power. We absolutely need the power. We need to have better communication. I spoke to people in the oil industry, in the gas industry, and they said, well, you know, the startup plants, you always have this kind of emission. You know what? That would be nice to have told people that up front, you will see this happen when it starts up. Instead of, well, what's all that smoke? Okay? Communicate what to expect, but I don't think we need more and more power plants on top of what we have. It's just getting out of control, and I'm tired of us getting pushed around.
Mr. Mullins.
My opponent and I agree very much on this matter. I think we are at capacity as it relates to the significant megawatt production of the existing power plant. He's also correct in that the company could have and should have been far more in touch with the citizens, not only Jessup but the surrounding communities, about from the planning stages all the way through these to these unexpected emissions. It's very critical for any corporate concerned power generator to be a good environmental steward and corporate citizen in our town, and we should hold them to that. I would absolutely always let you know where I stand and tell you that I would stand by that position.
Mr. Lemoncelli.
One of the best practices we should put in effect if there's a development happening there is that if you want to develop and you're a Delaware corporation or your operating company is a Delaware corporation, deny It's our land, it's our place, it's our house, it's our home. We need some control. And, you know, if you want to come in here, we talk about extraction tax. What about extracting sand and gravel and timber and coal? If the real reason for an extraction tax is to raise revenue, why isn't it being talked about being applied to everything that's extracted, including electricity from wind and water? The people in Harrisburg are disingenuous. We have to take care of ourselves because nobody else is going to do it.
The next question from Mr. Mullins. On September 10th of this year, a natural gas pipeline exploded in Beaver County, Pennsylvania, destroying one home. On September 14th, just north of Boston, Massachusetts, a series of pipeline explosions destroyed 80 homes and killed an 18-year-old man. As a candidate for state representative, do you believe that regulation for siting pipelines, registering and mapping their track, and cross-referencing that information with mining and subsidence maps should be the standard? And what do you think the state's responsibility is in protecting citizens in relation to rapidly expanding gas pipelines?
Certainly. The most important function of state or local government is to ensure the safety of the citizens. We, as ratepayers, as gas customers, expect our house to be there when we get home for the stove and the hot water heater to turn on without issue. We have in many parts of the state, a very